All right, let's talk the 49ers cornerback position on this beautiful Sunday afternoon because we saw some interesting developments over the course of the offseason program. Deommodore Lenoir seems to have just picked up right where he left off to end the 2022 season. And that happened in the 2023 calendar year with the playoffs. He grew in confidence every single week to the point where it went from late 2022. People didn't have a lot of faith in Deommodore Lenoir on the outside. 49ers maintained their faith in him. And then every single week down the stretch of that playoff run, he got better and better to the point where if he carries over that end of season performance, it's going to be Lenoir and Charvarius Ward. And that's quite the 1-2 punch for the 49ers. But as we know, you still need cornerback depth. The 2021 49ers team learned the hard way. Corners got hurt. You had to sign Josh Norman. Players like Ambry Thomas had to step up at the end of the year, but Ambry really struggled early on. He even struggled, I think, toward the end of that 2021 run. Everybody was really excited about what happened in the middle there on his ascent. He had the interception against Matthew Stafford to seal the Week 18 win against the Rams. But there's still a lot of work to do for Ambry Thomas leaving 2021. And then obviously with some injury issues, he regressed in 2022. But he represents the depth that the 49ers need so the bottom doesn't fall out of this secondary at that cornerback position so that 2021 doesn't repeat itself. Remember, the 49ers made NFL history with the most pass interference penalties ever in 2021. I mean, record amounts of pass interference penalty yards. I think 376 pass interference penalty yards in 2021. Drake Kirkpatrick was just getting smeared by Benjamin of the Arizona Cardinals. It was bad. It was really bad. So the 49ers need depth at the cornerback position, and they need that front line to stay strong, and that involves Deommodore Lenoir carrying forward what he did last year to close the season, and it also involves Ambry Thomas, I think, resuscitating his career because 2022 wasn't good. Let's hear what Steve Wilks had to say about both of these players, new 49ers defensive coordinator.
I thought it was a lot of great competition this offseason. You look at Demo, I thought he took strides this offseason and really getting better. You can see his confidence, and I think his confidence is coming from really in his preparation. If you watch him each and every day, as I have, you see him taking steps and really focusing on the details in the classroom and his transfer into the field. Ambry, I thought has had a great OTAs and minicamp. So when you look at those two guys with the amount of reps that they've taken with Mooney not being there, I think there's only been a plus.
That's the thing. Charvarius Ward was working off on the side, and that gave the 49ers younger players chances to get more reps, which obviously is really, really important. With Ambry Thomas, the thing is, we're not going to really know until training camp in the season because his issue has always been one of physical strength. He's always been good at blanketing opposing receivers. He's lost at the point of catch, though. Good movement skills from Ambry Thomas, but he has a weaker physique. Deommodore Lenoir, on the other hand, that guy, I mean, he calls himself the hyena. He's always in guys' faces. He's always been physical. That hasn't been an issue for him. For Deommodore Lenoir, it's been more tracking the football. And he talked about how tracking the football has been something that he has been working on. So you look at Ambry Thomas, you look at Deommodore Lenoir, they're two different types of cornerbacks. And you look at the 49ers depth chart here, and you can clearly see that the 49ers are working not only with these two, but with other developmental prospects at the cornerback position. I'm going to highlight it right here. And these are the players that are going to determine whether or not the bottom falls out of this unit if there is an injury. So you look at Ward and Lenoir at the top. I currently, just on this depth chart, I have Ambry Thomas on the outside looking in. But I think that if he surges forward and shows that he can display the kind of physical strength, the mono and mono ability that you can only show when pads come on, when contact is there on the football field, Ambry Thomas is going to make this 49ers team. So I'm just waiting for Ambry Thomas to prove himself because I know that it was not a good 2022 season. Samuel Womack, he started to play well last year, especially on special teams. I know the 49ers look at him as both an outside cornerback and a slot guy. He's obviously a little bit shorter, but the interchangeability is a real thing for the 49ers because when you look at somebody like Womack at 5'9", able to play outside, and then you look at Isaiah Oliver, who's their starting nickelback at 6 feet, Well, you have to look at guys like Womack, Luter, even Oliver as potential outside corners, especially in a pinch. I know Oliver's played outside before with the Atlanta Falcons, didn't go all too well. That's why they moved him to slot where he's a lot better. But you have to remember that it's going to be all hands on deck in case there are injuries on the outside. So Ambry Thomas, I think, is on the inside track to make a roster spot. In fact, maybe I could even move Ambry Thomas in. Why don't we have him making the 53 for now? I think he's trending in the right direction. Looks like he's a little bit stronger based on what I watched during the offseason program, but there's still a lot to prove from Ambry Thomas after last season. Then, it's really, really interesting down here because you have Trey Swilling. We can move Swilling up the depth chart because Ambry Thomas moved up. AJ Parker, two guys unlikely to make the team. Deshaun Jameson really, really intrigues me. Deshaun Jameson, we speak about, shorter cornerbacks, 5'9" corner out of Texas, undrafted free agent, really good return man. He can really move, and he was making plays throughout the offseason program. Last practice, he almost had 3 pass breakups. 2 officially, almost got his hand on 1. He might have been the player defensively that stood out the most for the 49ers during the media open practices of OTAs. Now, I will say that it came against the third-team offense. Jair Brown was playing some first-team offense. In the days we weren't there, he was picking a lot of passes off. They said 4 interceptions for Jair Brown. So take that with a grain of salt. But Deshaun Jameson looks like he's ready, that he could play, like he's ready to compete at this level. Undrafted free agent again. So, it's going to be tougher for him to make the roster, but maybe you see him make the practice squad, and then that practice squad is a living, breathing component of the roster. 49ers can call him up for special teams. That return ability can really help him. So keep your eyes out on Deshaun Jameson. But Ambry Thomas, Deommodore Lenoir. Deommodore's got to get better at tracking the football. He did over the course of last season. Let's see if he can carry it over into 2023. And Ambry's got to get stronger. Let's see if he could showcase that once training camp and all that good stuff begins. That's all going to happen in late July, early August is when the pads come on, then preseason. This is the proving grounds coming up. This is when the 49ers are going to need these corners. And maybe, the most sketchy position depth-wise on this roster, they're going to need that depth to assert itself. All right, everybody like the video, sub to the channel. More coming soon. This has been a little report on that 49ers cornerback position. Talk soon.